Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewired to Inspire. This show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewired to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am so excited. It is a beautiful, beautiful fall Saturday morning. I just got off an amazing team training. I am feeling super excited to jump on here with you guys. And happy October. We are in October. The leaves are all changing where I live. It is so beautiful. I miss this vibe so much when I was living in Alberta. I love the maple trees. I love living on the East Coast, and I'm just feeling so much gratitude in my heart right now. And I hope that this episode just pumps you up. I hope you can feel my vibe and my love just radiating through the microphone right now. I just want to send you all so much love and just a virtual hug before we jump into today's content. If this is your first time tuning into Rewire to Inspire, welcome. I am so excited to have you here. This is where we share all topics around self-love, mental health, discovering your purpose, switching our fixed mindset, and just becoming the best version of ourselves. For those of you tuning back in, welcome back. I am so excited to have you back for another episode to grow together as a collective. And I am so excited because today we are recording number 61, episode 61, and we are going to chat all about kind of changing our narrative around certain things. So I want us to talk about, we see those posts on Facebook all the time that are like, I wish I learned blank in high school. And I want us to talk about how we can get resourceful of learning the things we weren't taught. And I think you all know what I'm talking about. We go on Facebook and we see those posts of, I wish in high school or during school I learned about finances. I wish I learned about home life. I wish I learned about family. I wish I learned about taxes. I wish I learned about raising a baby. I wish I learned about X, Y, and Z. Basically, there's all these posts and I see them all the time about saying, I wish I would have learned blank. And everyone in the comments is always like, I'm blank years old and I still don't know how to do blank. So I'm 23 years old and I still don't know how to do my taxes, right? We see those comments and then we start to like amp each other up because we're like, yeah, like I never learned that and screw our school system and like da. And I get it 100%. Like I hear what you're saying. I get the point of the post. I understand why the posts are there because we should have learned more about money. We should have learned more about the economy and how to run a house and how to raise kids and how to do all these things that we wish we would have learned. Of course, I agree that I wish we learned more of those things. However, I also feel, as I've mentioned in the past episodes, that we become stuck in our lives and in our learning when we push the blame onto other people. And so what I mean by that is we will become stuck in that negative headspace and in that blocked thinking when we push it onto other people, because it's so easy to say, I can't do my taxes or I can't do my finances because I never learned that in school. But we graduate school when we're 17, 18 years old. And so does that mean for the rest of our life, we're just not supposed to learn anything? And I think that, again, this is where we become stuck because we push the blame onto other people, in this example, onto our school system, meaning that once we graduate, we're still blaming the school system, even though we're not still in school. And so whose hands is it really in at that point? It's in our hands. It's in your hands. It's in my hands. We get to choose the things that we want to learn and go after and chase that to get resourceful. And that is the point of my episode today, is how can we get resourceful to learn the things that we weren't taught? And again, yes, I agree. However, I also agree that if you aren't taking action to make a difference or to get resourceful, you are going to stay stuck because we are 100% responsible for our lives. And when I graduated, I remember I had the belief that I was terrible at math. Like, I just remember all through elementary, middle, and high school, even through college, and through like very recently, this really only changed in the last year, maybe 6 months, of my belief about math, because I just always believed that I sucked at math. And so I had the belief that that is how I was going to be my whole life, right? So think of maybe what those things are for you that you wish you learned in school that maybe you're still holding that identity around. Are you getting resourceful to go out and learn about it? And so I've recently got a coach with Next Level University, and we've been chatting so much about finances because I run 2 businesses and I have my podcast. And so I have to statistically understand numbers in order to be a successful business. That means math, that means statistics, that means equations, that means probability. That means all those things, all the things that back in high school I'd have been like, nope, I'm not even going to take that class because I know I'm probably going to fail it. And that's a whole other story in and of itself of telling yourself you failed before you've even tried. But now that I know that in order to be the most successful, I have to get resourceful. Excuse me, oh my gosh, I don't know what just happened there. I have to get resourceful and learn those things. That then means it's in my hands. I can continue to sit here and say, well, I didn't learn it in school, so my business is never going to grow. Or I can get a coach or a mentor or watch videos or read books or listen to a podcast or do anything to learn about it, to learn about how I can track things, to learn about, setting my trajectory ahead and then working backwards, to learn about the probability of my success based on my numbers right now. There's ways mathematically, and honestly, everything in life is mathematics. And I'm learning this slowly over time of being an entrepreneur, is that without numbers and statistics and math, there's really nothing in life, because everything does come down to a probability of an outcome. It's just straight up facts. But for the longest time, I just felt like, well, school didn't teach me it, so I'm never going to be good at math. And I remember even when I studied social work, my teachers would always joke and say, well, you guys must all be here because you hated math. And we all laughed it off, and it was funny, and it's so true. However, I think that is often ignorance in a way to ourselves, because we've then just capped our potential by saying we didn't learn it in high school, and so therefore we're not worthy or able to learn anything moving forward. And so, as I mentioned, I've recently got a coach, and he's been teaching me so much about finances. And I also ask my partner, because I know that he's very knowledgeable and passionate about finances and numbers. And so of course I'm going to tweak his brain. And so find ways to get resourceful could literally mean finding someone in your life that is good at said thing and learning from them. We need to learn more from each other. And that is why I love podcasting and I love listening to podcasts, because I get to hear people's unique perspective on things. I get to hear people's learnings, people's awareness, people's just everything. And it's so interesting. Everybody around us can be a teacher in their own unique way. And if it's an alignment for you to learn said thing, why aren't we getting more resourceful and asking those around us for guidance? And so I've been super excited to chat with my partner about this, because I know this is his jam. He's super knowledgeable about it. And so with those two in my corner, and my dad as well, my dad is also very knowledgeable about money and finances. And so is my brother. So I have lots of people in my corner that are very knowledgeable about those things. And instead of just having blame against myself, why don't I turn to those that are already naturally good at that? And in hopes that maybe in return down the lines, maybe they would ask me for some support with mental health or self-love or trauma or just learning about those things, right? We all have unique gifts and things we bring to the table. And it's about getting resourceful and not becoming stuck. And I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I do feel though, that one thing that does set me apart a lot of the times is that I get resourceful. And I find that having that humbleness to just take a back seat of saying, knowing when you're the teacher and knowing when you're the student. Because if it's something that I don't really know much about, I'm not going to sit here and preach it. Because if I'm not doing the things or actually know what I'm talking about, that is when I'm supposed to be the student. But right now in this moment, I feel like I am figuratively, in a way, the teacher, because this is something that I'm passionate about. I've done the work to plan out this episode to then now teach that to you guys. But in return, all the things that I'm mentioning that I struggle with are things that likely all of you guys can help me with, and vice versa. And so, as I chatted about largely last week the week before last on my podcast, all about neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to adapt and to learn and to evolve and rewire itself and to take in new information, and that it's constantly ebbing and flowing and just ready to take on more stuff. And you have the ability to learn it at any stage of your life. And the thing is we cap things at school being done. And again, we're done school at such a young age. Do you really think that that is when we stop learning? And I get what these posts are saying. I know they're not saying that that's the end of our learning, but in a lot of the instances, by reading through the comments, I was just getting the vibe of all these people have just become so stuck on that identity of themselves that they haven't taken action to reframe that. And if you don't have the belief and you've just told yourself, I'm a bad speaker, I'm bad at math, I'm a bad writer, I'm not good at fitness, I'm not good at this, good at that, you're never going to take action. And that's kind of the point of my podcast today is, if you don't have any level of belief that you can actually change those things, there's no point of sitting there and complaining about it. That has become my number one pet peeve with myself, but also with other people, because I can't sit here and say I'm not in love with my physique if I'm not putting in 100% effort in my eating and my diet and water and nourishing and taking care of myself. I cannot sit here and complain about that. The same as I cannot sit here and complain that I suck at math if I'm doing nothing to get better and to learn more about it. So that is really the point of this. And so instead of collectively complaining on social media, why don't we all get resourceful and try to teach ourselves things? Learning does not end when grade 12 graduation happens. If anything, that's honestly when it begins, and when our learning starts to flip into be in our hands. That is when we then have the ability to put our learning into our own hands. And so I came up with this framework that I'm going to try my best to explain, and I'm actually trying to physically make it into a visual. I'm in Canva right now trying to design something because I really want this to land. And so I'm going to go through a little bit of an example. So I want you to think, so those posts, for example, I didn't learn blank skill. So don't know a skill. So we're just going to use math for an example. So that's like the top. That's the top of our pyramid right now. You're telling yourself, I'm not good at math. A fixed mindset will say, I'll never be able to do math. A growth mindset would say, I struggle with math, but I know that I can learn. And then from that, going one step further, a fixed mindset would say, or tell themselves the same story, reiterate that to themselves, and therefore showing themselves all the ways that they are bad at math, enhancing that identity, enhancing that belief, and so you're going to get the same results. A growth mindset would get resourceful, look for answers, pick up a book, listen to a podcast, get a coach, pick up a textbook, watch YouTube videos, do X, Y, and Z, and they would slowly improve by 1%. Continuing on that, a fixed mindset would continue to get stuck in the same place. And then you're going to get frustrated. Then you're going to get resentful. Then you're going to blame the school system, and you're going to blame everybody around you. And again, you're going to have the same results. A growth mindset is going to then start to feel empowered because they're taking action. They're getting results. They're getting wiser. They're learning new things. They're going to feel empowered. They're going to increase their self-worth. And then guess what? They're then able to teach that to other people, which is kind of the cool thing. And so again, improving by 1%, and that 1% is going to compound. I've talked about the compound effect a lot on my podcast. And so you're going to grow. One more step below that, a fixed mindset would then begin to complain at the world, to get resentful, to vibrate low, to have a low frequency, to be just stuck. Whereas a fixed mindset is now able to teach their new awareness to the world. They're feeling empowered, and with that, willing to go learn more about something else. So maybe now you feel somewhat confident in math and you know that it's going to keep growing as you keep learning more, but now you feel empowered to like, okay, I also don't really feel like I know much about cooking. Okay, amazing. Now you can start with that because now you have the belief, because you got resourceful and started to learn about math. Now you have the belief that you can do the same thing with cooking. But a fixed mindset is just going to stay in the same place by blaming others, talking about it on social media, blaming your teachers, blaming the school, when in reality, that's not in your control anymore. What is in your control is the action that you want to take now. Because you see, life becomes so much less stressful when we begin to take 100% responsibility on ourselves. We're wired to look outwards since we're babies, to look outwards for validation, for comfort, for safety, for the answers, for everything. We're taught to just look outwards. But when our environment is not able to maybe adapt to that, or is not able to fix those things for us or give us those answers, we start to feel really, really lost and confused. However, as we get older, it's so crucial that we begin to look within. We begin to take action. We get so comfortable being comfortable. Too comfortable being comfortable. And the thing is our life in the world and experiences and knowledge is up to you. But that's also a beautiful thing. And if it seems overwhelming, remember that 1% improvement will compound. But the thing is, and this is in reverse, is that those negative thoughts will also compound. Everything is a compound between taking action and not taking action. Either you want to get 1% better or stay stagnant. That 1% will then turn into 2%, staying stagnant, 3% staying stagnant. Taking action is so underrated because we think it's this one big massive flip, when in reality, taking action is just about finding those little ways to get resourceful. Again, I chat about this all the time because it rings true to me. When I first started podcasting, I had no idea what I was doing. Literally no idea. I found my old journal the other day where I had to write down step 1, what to do, step 2, what to do, step 3, what to do, because I had no idea. But now looking back at that, I'm like, this is just second nature to me now, yet I still have so much more to learn. In a year from now, where I am now will be a huge growth difference. However, without the continuing to put one foot in front of the other, we will become stagnant, prove to ourselves that we can't grow, and therefore reiterating that. But if we're able to get resourceful and to grow and to cultivate and to become the best version of ourselves, and then we're able to teach that to other people and encourage other people to do the same, we can collectively raise our belief in ourselves. We get just so dang stuck, and I see it all the time, and that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I know what it's like to be on the other side of that. I know what it's like, and I don't forget what it's like, because there's still areas of my life that I've not taken action because I tell myself I don't know how to do that thing. But is it that you don't know how to do it, or you don't know how to do it yet? And we often do things and we get results and they're not, and we compare it to other people. And yes, it's good to, in some degree, to compare ourselves to other people, because we can see where other people are at and, evaluate that and compare to that. But oftentimes we compare our day 1 to somebody's year 10 and we feel really, really crummy about it. When in reality, we don't have to compare to someone's year 10. Instead, why don't we try to learn from them? Which is exactly what I'm doing right now with my coach. I know that him and my partner, my dad and my brother and all those people are strides ahead of me in finances. So instead of having resentment of that, how can I ask them questions to learn? Asking questions is like the best thing that we can do as human beings. Listening instead of talking all the time. Listening instead of just thinking about what we're going to say next. You know how much we can learn from each other if we just take the time to actually listen? We are so quick to just want to chime in and give our reasons and just like cut people off and block it because we compare and we start to feel icky about ourselves. But it's like, we're all on the same team if we think about it. And again, knowing your role, if you're the teacher or the student. But instead of going on social media and just bashing outwards, it's time that we begin to turn within. Because we are the only ones that can be held 100% accountable for our actions. And when we start to have the belief and knowing that we are the only ones that are 100% responsible, our world becomes a little less stressful, because we know that we can't blame anybody if we're not taking action. We are the only ones that can fix our lives, quote unquote. We are the only ones that can bring ourselves our dream life and work towards that. But if we just have resentment and we're holding on to things in the past, we're living in the past instead of looking forward, of saying, okay, but if I took action today, in 5 years, my reality could be completely different. And that was my goal of today's episode, is to just bring that awareness that if you're feeling that way and you're feeling like you're stuck in your old you feel like you're stuck in your old identities, negative identities, holding on to negative beliefs, knowing that you are the only one that can change that, but also knowing that if you get resourceful, one day at a time, one small action at a time, that can change, which is the beautiful and amazing thing about life. So don't cap your potential. Don't cap your worth. Don't cap your knowledge. Don't cap your learnings. Life is a never-ending journey of growing and learning and evolving. And honestly, I don't ever want to live in a world where I'm not growing and learning, because to me, that's kind of boring. We're all supposed to continue to evolve and elevate to become the best version of ourselves. So listener, I hope that you just take a moment to just reflect for yourself for a second. I know sometimes my podcast can seem a little hardcore, but that's because, again, I've lived on both sides of it. So I want you to just be gentle with yourself, because also this is me right now with fitness. I have not been holding myself as accountable as I know I should be. My max potential being a 10, I'm maybe right now a 4 or 5. And so no wonder I'm feeling a certain type of way about my body, a certain type of way about fitness and about self-love, because I'm not doing the actions to follow through with that. So where in your life are you wanting results but you're not putting in the action? Where are you not taking action because you don't feel like you have the answers? And how can you begin to get resourceful to find those answers? I want to thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning into episode 61 of Rewired to Inspire. I truly hope today left you feeling excited to get resourceful, because learning is a fun thing. Learning is supposed to be a fun thing and a never-ending flow of just bringing and raising our awareness and our consciousness. So I hope that you just take this with so much love and know that my message from my heart to yours is that your potential is not capped until you decide you want to cap it. You're so worthy and have so much within you to grow and to cultivate and elevate your life. So thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning into today's episode of Rewired to Inspire. I look forward to chatting with you on Thursday for my next episode. All the love, you guys. Thank you guys so much. Happy October. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewired to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at JessieBrown13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.